Hi, I'm Bonnie, Log Cabin Stitcher. Welcome to my channel and welcome to my sewing room. You can follow me on Instagram at Bonnie Log Cabin Stitcher. This will be like the fourth or fifth try that I've been doing for this video. But I am feeling so relaxed and so looking forward today. I wanted to do this video for my Wool Along Friends stitch along that I'm doing with Lisa at Prims on Greenway, so that I can make a big mess in my room and pull everything out and do stitching and wool projects. But before I do that, because I thought once I do that, I'm going to be head down enjoying all that. So I thought I'm going to do the video now. But I am having so much fun. Now this is Friday and it's already like 1:30. But I started this morning out with coffee in the garden. This will be the first really day that I have all to myself, even though it's Friday, of what is like almost the end of my first week of vacation. But I got good stuff done, so now I can do stitching guilt-free and make a mess guilt-free. So now, because I've tried so many videos, this reason or that, we're just going to do it because now everything is kind of like all over the place. So I already showed this on my last video. This is my first wool project that I'm doing. It sat in a box for probably 10 years. I need to recut some of these pieces that are missing, and then I'm going to turn this into a project bag. So this is going to be this size of a project bag, which is going to be kind of nice because it's one of the bigger bags that I do. And later in the month, I have promised that I'm going to do not a tutorial, but just showing the measurements and how I make a project bag. Not rocket science for me, and certainly I'm not organized enough to do a step-by-step one. I'll just show you the measurements and show you just the little things that I do. So you can watch one of the other rocket scientists do their very organized videos, and then we could both be happy. So I chose to do the stitching with my DMC 50 weight thread. This is what I used to do for my wool applique. No, this is what I used to do for my regular hand applique. So now I use this for machine stitching because it's 50 weight, and for my hand cotton applique, I use the Aurifil 80 weight. So in all that, I did like that I could slip that thing right into this bigger bag. These are more my quilt project bags. There we go, I dropped it on the floor. So I did like that I could stick all that in there together, and so that was probably a good size bag for me. So I will turn this little guy into that. But I did some different stitching on this. So usually I do, again, take number 6. Where is all this stuff? This guy needs to go back up to the cabin. This is how I usually would do wool. The bigger blanket stitch, so it shows different color depending on each item that I am stitching. And that's what I have done. That's what I'm comfortable with. I do the blanket stitch for embroidery as well as the wool applique. But also, where's that other pillow? I'm throwing everything like, whoo, throwing it all off to the wind. Oh, here we go. So this is more of a, I don't even know what you call it. It's not, I don't think it's technically a whip stitch, but we'll just call it a whip stitch where it's not the blanket stitch. It is a stitch that is going purposefully, because this was like DMC floss. So, and the other one would have been, it's pearl cotton, so it's thicker. Generally, I stitch with 12 weight Valdani pearl cotton. So I also noticed that there was something that was probably a different brand. I've collected a lot of pearl cottons. This would have been done with my DMC. So you can see I matched the color to what I was doing, but I purposely let it overflow. And I was looking at that and I thought, well, that's pretty cool because it really accentuates the stitching, and they are purposely not even. So if you look at one, it's a little shorter, one is a little longer, but they're purposefully staggered a little bit just to give it a little bit different stitching. So I was thinking, interesting, how did I come up with that stitch? You know, I could have just copied it right from the pattern, but it's probably because this is how I used to do my applique. So before I started doing the applique, the freezer paper turned edge applique, because I don't do needle turn. Before I did that, this is applique. So this is the fusible web that I used to use. But look at that stitching. So that's similar to what was in that bird pillow. So where I would purposely change those colors, I would purposely stitch into the background, and it just gives it a different stitch. I will show this on my next, I've probably showed this before. It's a Brenda Gervais I did a long time ago, Country Stitches Online. I have all 4 of these patterns, but I still have the Christmas one I need to stitch up. This I've shared about in different places. So what I really want to show you is the stitching. So if you really, really need to get that pattern and do it now, Country Stitches Online, you should be able to get that. So when I picked this up, I was up in the mountains, and all I had were my threads that I just showed you. They jiggle all the time, and I don't like that noise jiggling. I only had those because that's what I was going to do. But when I first started doing the stitching, I thought, I don't like this. It's new. I want to go back to my comfort zone. And I thought, oh, all I have is the thread that I was doing on my hand quilting project. And I thought, I'm not using that up. I'm just going to forward, because at first I thought, I'll just wait till I get home. I thought, no, girl, just do it and try it and do something. So when I was first doing the stitching, I was trying to do it like I would look at the Maggie Benartex book, and I watched her video, and I've seen Carol Saltbach Stitcher do it, and I thought, I must do it just that way. And because I was like all trying to do it perfect, I'm really working at not doing that. The stitches were bigger, and I didn't like them, and I tried using more of that neutral brown that Maggie uses, but with my DMC machine embroidery thread. So those stitches on that urn were bigger. Then I thought, well, let's try something a little different. And so I don't know what I stitched next. Maybe it was the pumpkin. So I just did a little bit smaller stitches. And then I was getting kind of in the groove. By the time I went up here, I thought, okay, I got a groove. And I thought, okay, go for it. Just get it done. I do all this in my head. So that's why I always have my friends with me wherever I go. So then by the time I got to the squirrel, I was just like in a groove. I was watching Kate from The Last Homely House, doing my stitching, doing in my groove thing. But I don't know that you can see it here, but his little tummy got a little puckered up. And I thought, I'm going to take it out and redo it. And I thought, what? My tummy's a little puckered up too. So just leave it that way and it's just fine. So, it's so funny, the little things that we do to ourselves. And I am really working at getting over trying to do something exactly like somebody else, because I got enough problems in my life. That's where my neighbor just left, and we just talked about, we're about the same age. And it's like, we've done life crazy. Life is short. I'm not doing crazy anymore. So I need to just stop letting my stitching make me crazy, because I'm supposed to be stitching so I don't go crazy. So that pattern that I just showed you, I got forever ago, and Country Stitches Online, and they probably have this one as well, Harvest Time. So make your squirrel tummy puckery too. That's just how I am today. I'm going with it because I love it. And I was goofing around because the last video that I did, I just couldn't stop giggling. And then I had to stop because my neighbor came to the door, and I'm not editing. And anyway, so I just started it over again. But, oh, I was saying in one of my videos, I said, this is what it must feel like, because I'm so giddy because I have like days on my own that I get to do what I want to do and stitch what I want to stitch and not worry about working on call. Working on call is like having an umbilical cord connected to your work at all times. I don't have to do it right now. So these were the threads that are kind of similar to what Maggie would stitch with. She does. It's in the front of all of her books, and it's on that little video. If you look at my playlist, Maggie Benartex, there's one with her. The playlist would be the Wool Applique. She usually does a summer brown, which would be in between these two, and then she'll do an ecru. So I just pulled those out to have with me. This is the 80 weight. I love just the presentation, just that this is cherry wood, Aurifil. I have a collection of all threads. So I have all, and it's very thin, very light. And so Maggie, when I was actually reading it, she said she actually likes the polyester of what she uses, the Coats and Clark, because it goes smoother through that. And I thought, I've got something that works like butter, so this goes smoothly through cotton. So I'm going to give this a try on my wool, because it'll be like no holding me back when I'm stitching. So also, I made a note when I was explaining on my last wool along video the different threads that I would use for my wool applique. This was before. So when I bought this, the gentleman who sold it to me, I asked him, I said, well, what would you use wool thread for? And I think I probably told him what kind of things I do. He said, well, that would be for when you do your wool applique. And I was like, well, who would have thought? Wool thread for wool applique. Again, see, I don't like that red, but I would much rather. And these, like, shouldn't this wool thread be on that beautiful cherry wood? So it is thicker. I will look, and you can see there's a little bit of wool, or there's a little bit of flecking there that comes up. Before I showed it where I had the sun coming in, but it's a beautiful thread, and I've used very little of it. But what weight is this? So 12 weight. So it is a little bit thinner though. If I'm just looking at this without my glasses, it's a little bit thinner than my Valdani 12 weight, which is already, Valdani is thinner than like a DMC 12 weight. So grab you a pack. And I know, like, I bought this at a vendor fair kind of a thing, but I know Kimberly Jolly, Fat Quarter Shop, I think she has all the Aurifils. So let's do that. So this is who I had my coffee with this morning. Maggie and I and Riley and all the butterflies and the bees had coffee this morning out on my patio. And because I wasn't going anywhere, it was truly wonderful. Nothing like PJs and Maggie and coffee together. And then we also had hand-dyed linens from Blackberry Primitives, which is where I read up. I'm getting obsessed with Maggie Benartex now, because I can hang out with her and her books this weekend. So she gets her wool hand-dyed and linens from Blackberry Primitives, and I thought, good enough for Maggie, good enough for me. So I purchased 2 bundles, and I on my Instagram this morning, I sent a picture, or I sent a picture to you friends on my Instagram. And I had a response from Deborah, and she was just saying that she wanted to order some linens from Blackberry Primitives, and maybe it was time. And then she asked what size they were. So I responded back, and I said the size, I think it was 15 by 17, but I said they were kind of pricey. And then I thought, how pricey was that? Because it was a bundle. That's what threw me off. I got 4, and they've gotten kind of mixed up. So who knows what 4 I picked. But this was a bundle. I want to say, I don't know. Doesn't matter what bundle it was, because you can go on there and check it out. It was a bundle of 4, and it was $49. And I thought, $49 for a bundle? Let's get 2. So I ended up getting 2, and I thought, oh my gosh, that was a lot of money. And then actually it's the same price as whatever like this. So if I'm getting Picture This Plus, it was actually cheaper. It was cheaper than what it would have been for that linen. So I thought, oh, great. Now, no guilt now. But I told Deborah, I responded back to her comment, and I said, I'm going to show some close-ups. So again, I didn't keep these together, but this is, I'll show it in this way. This is probably, no, that's not that one, because I have something separate. I'll show you the darker bundle, and I'm going to take it out of this. Let's do it this way. I'll show you this. I got used less than $30, so her books can still be found. I'm going to do this, and I thought, how fun. I am going to do it probably on this linen, which is more of an eggplant. Or I may, by the time I go to do it, I may do this, but this is the plan, so let's just show it now. This is in the darker, whatever it was called, it was the darker bundle. This is the modeling. This one, there is one that came out a little bit weirder, a little bit unusual, but this is the modeling. So that's the front. That's the back. I'm going to use this side. It is a coarser linen than what we're used to as the cross stitch linen. So like if you're buying what is it always on the Zweigart linen, this is a thicker, coarser linen, more primitive. I have no idea if you can cross stitch on this, but I'm not going to. So if you can see how gorgeous that is, so you can kind of get the feel for how coarse that is. How, oh, that looks kind of like an eyeball and a cat face, doesn't it? All right. All right. Okay, so that's one linen. This is the one that was kind of weird. So because it had that, but the rest of it is gorgeous. So what I may do is use this for a background or this for a project. There's a lot of pouches, and I'm really thinking, because that looks like a bird or a squirrel or a turtle. The eyes, the face, the nose, and the hand up. I can tell I'm on vacation. But then I thought, oh, this might be nice for a smaller project. So that's a beautiful color that I don't have of that linen. So even though it is kind of weird because it's a hand dye, I'm going to have fun with it. Okay, so here's another one. This should be still all in a darker one. I bought one that I think may have been the last, but look at every one of those designs is like its own artwork. So there's another piece, but you can see the size too. And look at, okay, so look at that one down in the corner. You've got this there, but that's how it shows on that side. That's how you can tell this is a thicker linen. And so it is very, very cool. So here's a blue. I don't do that much blue, and I'm trying to make myself wear blue more often because I always get stuck in the grays. But beautiful color. So now this may have been like the neutral. So this nice neutral. I love browns. Brown is my comfort zone for decorating and stitching and quilting. Blacks and grays, shades of grays, are my comfort zone for clothes colors. So I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone a little bit. Like, I'm on vacation, I can do whatever I want comfort zone wise. But I'm trying to just stretch myself. Trying to try different things. Let's just say that. All right, this is another one. So see, some of them have more modeling, some of them have less, but it's just like I can't wait to push upload and get all these out and get stitching. But I'm going to hang out with you guys and just enjoy our time together, because that's what I do. Like, I was all ready to push record, and I saw my neighbor coming up to the door, and I thought, oh, visit time. So she was probably wondering, like, wow, Bonnie doesn't usually hang out at her house with lipstick on. And I even chose a different lipstick today because I thought, just playing with color today. But that's what I would do. So even though I'm going to stitch soon and I'm feeling absolutely silly, I'm just hanging out with my stitching buds here with you guys. So as I was looking at those linens, and as I was looking at some linen that I ordered, because I wanted something just like the project, but again, I'm doing whatever the heck I want to do right now. But okay, I'm jiggling you, I'm sorry, but okay, so I'm just getting out all kinds of stuff. So let's just show you something else. Okay, so I got incredibly inspired by this one, Thistledown Moon. This was one I really shared a lot on my Wool Along Friends #2 video, because I wanted to show you, you don't have to do wool. Wool is more expensive. And my packages finally got mailed out. We had 3 giveaways, and I stuck, for those of you that won the giveaways, there's going to be a little surprise inside that you're going to like. And then I had 2 extras that I gave away to 2 sweet friends. So Kathy and Lisa, your gifts are going to be coming too, with some little extras in there. But where was I going with that? Anyway, I don't know. Good thing I usually have to work and stay all responsible, because otherwise I'd be like, this is how I was in high school. And this is why, okay, here's a secret. This is why when I was chasing the boys in the hallway at high school, I went to this little private high school, and I loved it. I loved that school that I went to. I didn't like classes, but I liked the school. So in the hallway, and I probably talked about this before, So like when the guys were going, because it was a darker hallway, and when the guys, and I was like 14 or 15, when the guys were reaching up to do, into between class, they're reaching up to do their, you know, the lockbox thing, whatever it was. And this was back life a long time ago. I have no idea what life is like in the hallways now. Probably nothing. I don't know where I want to be. Anyway, it would be all crowded, and there'd be these guys, and especially the guys that were more like uptight, and they were all my friends. It was a very small school. I would like reach and I would pinch their bottoms. And they'd like turn around and you know, anyway, they'd probably get in trouble for that now. This was forever ago, back when the music was good. So anyway, I would do that to Kurt too. His locker was in the, because he was older than me. So his locker was there, and I would reach and do that to him too. And he probably figured out it was me. So he, because I was boy crazy. I didn't have a boyfriend. No wonder. I didn't have a boyfriend before Kurt. Doesn't mean I wasn't. Anyway. So, anyway, when he finally did decide he might like me and he kissed me, I said something, I can't remember, like, oh, you know, why did you finally decide to like me? And he goes, you were crazy and I didn't like you. But then I finally thought, probably because I pursued him for a year, he said, I finally thought, I just want to see what this girl is about. So he was more of a quiet, he was a very quiet guy, more reserved. He still is. And he knows I'm a goofball and I embarrass him. I used to embarrass him all the time because I used to say like all these off the wall things, and then finally he's just like, that's just Bonnie. So okay, I'm not going to push stop. This is just me. So hopefully you're having like a glass of wine so you can be as silly as I am. Even though I'll have this. This is, I can't even drink my healthy juice right now. Okay, let's get serious because I'm not redoing this. We'll just wipe that off and just keep going. Thistledown Moon. Serious time now. Serious time, guys. All right, so in Thistledown Moon, you might see why I'm pulling these things out. Because in Thistledown, oh, look at Maggie. She looks like she would be a hoot too. Is she laughing at me? Is she saying, get serious, Bonnie? Get serious, Bonnie? No, she's probably saying, you go for it, girl, but push stop and go have fun. Okay, so she did this book on a road trip with an old quilt. And I thought, well, if Maggie can do that, I can do that too. So I pulled, because I'm also doing Just Get It Done SAL, or hashtag Just Get It Done. Oh my word. There's 3 butterflies right now. Hashtag Just Get It Done June SAL. That's the stitch along that Melanie and I are doing. So these weave together. So I have a whole lot of projects that I've got in the plans. So I'm doing wool and Just Get It Done. So I have these olds, and I've showed this before, but like this has a hole in it. Very old. And I was looking at it close. Isn't that gorgeous? Hand stitching. So this is old one that I have had, and I thought I got this before I got married. I've been married almost 37 years, I think, 38 years. Poor Kurt. So I've had this stuff sitting around forever, and I had shared before I'd done this in craft projects, and I'm not worrying about the controversy of making crafts out of old quilts because it's my old quilt and I can do whatever the heck I want with it. Very old. But these are amazing, and I see they're falling apart. And this was in bad condition, and my grandparents had cats, and so there's like cat pee on it. But isn't that amazing? Gorgeous, very fragile. I am going to do something with these. And might I do something wool with it? Might I not? I don't know. But because Maggie, see, this is how the quilt was. Or it didn't have the pieces cut out, but like this is how it was. But aren't those amazing? But see, they had problems. but they're gorgeous. And this looks like the 30s reproduction stuff. How old is this quilt? Who made it? No idea, because there was nothing on it. But I got it, and I'm going to do something with it. So there we go. This is something that I know I got from my mom, but I'm going to make a wool pillow. Okay, so let me show you the wool pillow, because I'm more serious now. I can do this. Oh, darn it. That wool pillow is in something else. Let's just show this to you. Okay, so look at that. Look at that fabric, how it has faded. This is what I had, and look at the hand clamshell stitching, and it's not even. It is not at all perfect, because I looked at the back to see how they did it. So this stitching is going this way, clamshell. It's gorgeous. And it's been sitting in a drawer. There, you can kind of see that more. The clamshell and then the other stitching. This has been, because our cabin is under constant construction. I used to have a bear up at the cabin, just like I have this guy. I used to have one of my mom's bears up at the cabin holding it, and I was enjoying it. I never looked as closely at that before, but because the cabin has been getting sanded on the inside, it's been in a drawer shut away, and I thought, no more. I'm going to make a pillow out of it, and Maggie's going to show me how, and it's going to be okay. So that's in the works. This is something else that I'm going to do. Thistledown Moon. I am doing this. This calls for Weeks Chestnut Linen, and I thought, I'm doing it. I ordered it, and it's going to be arriving soon. That's velvet. I don't have any velvet. I'm going to do wool. I'm doing this, and I'm going to have it turn out exactly like that, because that's what I darn well want to do. So let's show you something else. Okay, I've had this. Let's show you the front. I've had this book for a long time, and look at this. I thought we need a fireplace screen. Only because the fireplace at the house everything is like needs construction. So anyway, see that fireplace screen? See that frame? All right, so I went to a store on the way home from Colorado, and look what I found. But theirs is sideways, wider than long. But look what I got. Okay, let's watch out for the pitchfork too. You get to see all my hidden stuff. All right, check this out. Don't get worried about that ugly tapestry. It can be the backing for something. Check this out. Now, they did a little repair job, and my husband will help me fix that up, because I can see they used like a red Sharpie to try to fix that. And then they glued that little piece on not very well. But my husband can help me fix things, because he got over me being a goofball. And he loves to do things with me. Okay, so is this not cool? Now, the reason I couldn't just flip it sideways easily is because of the bottom. So those corner pieces are missing. And I showed my husband. He said, no big deal. I can make you some. That's why I keep that guy around. Okay, so for right now, this is just sitting next to the fireplace. My husband was away at work when I got home from my Colorado trip, and I just put this next to the fireplace when I got home, because Chad's lizard gecko is sitting in the hearth. Anyway, it was just sitting next to it, and oh no, now there's 6 butterflies. I'm staying focused on you guys though. Okay, so it was sitting next to the fireplace, and Kurt and I are trying to do more simplification, not having tons of stuff, because I can do whatever I want in this room. This is my sewing room. The front room, I'm trying to do not lots of stuff, because I want to honor what he's wanting, because I used to have tons of stuff in there. So I thought, oh, what's Kurt going to say? And he'll probably be like, it's okay, girl, do what you want. And so he was sitting down, and he looked and he said, that's cool. Where'd that come from? And I said, from Colorado. He's like, well, of course it did. He said, what are you going to do with it? Because I said, ugly fabric. I don't like that fabric. And so I said, I'm going to put a stitching thing in there. And he goes, that would be one big stitching project, because he was thinking cross stitch. It's like, oh, but there are some of those big cross stitch things. I said, no, it's Wool Applique. It's going to be so cool. He's like, great. So I've got that thing going. So I am going to have to redo something, but it is going to be a wool project in that thing. But obviously it's not going to sit in the hearth. It will go next to the fireplace because I have that much room that I can do. That is going to be one of my projects. So if you can look at close, it may be this or it may be something close to that. But she has so many amazing patterns. So, and I can do it. If Maggie can do it, I can play and I can do something. So the other thing, I'm just going to pull out all these things that I have. She did this from an old army blanket. I got an old army blanket. My grandfather was in the war, and we have lots of army blankets, lots of wool blankets. And I thought, oh, could I chop up a World War II army blanket? What good is it doing me right now? It's sitting in a plastic box in the garage right now. So if I chop up that army blanket, I could chop that army blanket up and do something cool with it. And then it would be used and not sitting there. Because I've always thought, I can't do anything. I'm getting over it. I'm getting over it. So I'm not going to make this, but I'm going to do something fun with that army blanket if I want to. Now, check out the backing. Linen. That is linen. Some kind of linen on the back, and those are blues. I like that, but these are more my comfort zone colors. So I'm going to have fun, and I will do amazing things this week, and I'm so excited. They will be both wool, love those colors, and they will be linen, because I got my linen. They will not be those colors, but they will be darker colors. So this comfort zone book. What other book do I have to show you? I think I showed you all those books. Oh, no, because I know there's something more fun. Okay, so this is how I started out one of my gazillion videos ago. You ready? Hang on, guys. Hang on. I started out one of my videos that way. It's still wet because this is out in my garden. I have old stuff. I got tons of old stuff. So this was in my garden recently. See, at one time, it was hanging on a wall somewhere in my house, outside. I don't know, because I have old stuff all over the place. I've had this forever. I had to check it for black widows because we got those. But this was in my garden. I just plopped that in the garden. It was that deep in the soil. So it's sitting on an old towel right now. And birds like to sit on here. They poop in my garden and they wait for their place at the bird bath. But let me show you this. So imagine this with, let's put that down so it doesn't hurt anything or get anything dirty. Imagine that with, now that I got y'all excited, where did that project go? Darn it. Well, she has something. And I had it tagged. She has something. It's with this bird. Maybe the tag fell off, or maybe that's when my neighbor was coming over. Okay, I want to make this too. So obviously, I better get going because I got way too many things to do and way too short of a time. But I really wanted to show you that because it was a pitchfork, but I had it labeled. Da, 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 da. Maybe it is in another book. But it was that. It was that kind of bird. Anyway, whatever. I'll show you when I get it done. But it was just something that she had hanging on a pitchfork. And actually the pitchfork in that picture, I had that exact one. And since we're being silly, I had that exact pitchfork. It was skinny tines coming up. And it was going like out like this. So I had it hanging on this wall right there. I had it hanging there on an old garden trellis with an old metal thing that's actually now in my office that I'll show you sometime. And those pitchforks were coming out. So the kids and I would always kind of goof. My kids are goofy too. And I'd be like, oh, I sure hope that doesn't fall down on you guys because you'd get done with the pitchfork. So I'm sure I had that attached well to the wall because I didn't want to pitchfork my friends, my friends or my kids. So in this room one time, my two friends from Colorado, she and her husband were here. And we moved everything away. And at that time, they were on an air mattress on the floor. And she said they were laying in bed and they were like, what the heck is a pitchfork doing on the wall when it could fall on them? So I always think of that. I don't know if I still have that pitchfork or not. But because I had way too many things, I had to get rid of some things. But look at these two. I'm going to be doing things and making fun decorations because look at this. I have had these on a wreath before. Are these not amazing? One time I did a memory garden for when I was in my bird clubs. An older gentleman, a friend of mine, passed away, and his wife, I offered to help her do a memory garden in his memory. And as I was digging that up, that's where I found one of these. I think it was actually this. And I asked her, I said, is it okay if I have this? She said, of course. So, memory of Bob. So then I also had this. Could be dug up from our backyard. I don't know, but aren't they cool? I used to have them on a wreath hanging up in the garden. Now they're going to be some kind of display with all my fun stuff. Now I'm going to get stitching soon, but if you remember this linen, okay, so I'm just pulling out all my old stuff. My stool that I have shown and a chair that I had refinished up at the cabin had this upholstery cloth. There is very little of it left, but is that not amazing? So can you imagine a pincushion? But I was thinking, and I've got little bits and pieces, so pincushion, there we go. But I thought, what? It matches this so cool. So backing, binding, I don't know, but that's where I need, because I work on call, it's so hard to like be all getting into something, and I'm ready. My creativity is going, and then get a call to go to work. I call them drop and goes. You drop, you go, and the creativity is done. And so this is my time. This is my time. That's why I'm letting my mind do crazy things, because this is how I really, really am. But I thought, well, what linens could I choose? So I just went through my cross-stitch linen stuff, and I had shared this one. This one I got, it was Picture This Plus Oaken. And I got it, and it didn't look the way I thought it might. This is what the picture looked like, and I still bought it. But when it came in, I was like, okay, guys, what do I do with this? I might just turn this into a linen project, because that's cool. It is cross-stitch linen, but I can do whatever I want with it. And then this green Regency. I'm just pulling things, guys. This is why it's going to be a mess soon. So this is a 32 count tumbleweed, Witchelt. I may do something different. This is the stiff stuff. But I betcha if it goes in some hot tea dye, it's going to get soft maybe, or it's going to get made into something else, because I'm not cross stitching on that. And then look, I just got different linens that, and this, not really my color. So I could tea dye it. I could linen it. This is like, this was the very first cloth that I bought, 25 count, because I thought I needed my training wheels. Wouldn't this be a fun project? Because the way I bought it, I could buy it just as big as pieces I wanted. So I have a feeling that is going to be linen. Something that I had shown in a previous FlossTube that I had tea dyed something that was just way too orange. And then these are just 40 counts, which I may or may not stitch on, because now I see they're the same, pretty much the same price as some other stuff that I got. I am playing, and already it's a mess, and I'm not worrying about it, because I get to have a glorious mess. And then thinking about the things that I like, my comfort zones, old things. This is, I just always have this old stuff sitting around. So old ball lid. I'm going to be doing fun displays, because all Maggie's, Maggie as if she's like my bud and I'm hanging out with her. I am hanging out with Maggie today. But Blackbird Designs, Maggie Bononomy, a lot of other primitive people do displays with all this kind of amazing stuff as you're looking at the pictures. So I'm just going to be free as a butterfly, have fun, and do stuff. And then other things that I got. My mom did an amazing trip when she was in the Girl Scouts to Europe. Can you imagine a field trip to Europe with the Girl Scouts? Do they still do it? I have no idea, but my mom did it. And she brought stuff back, linen from Europe, and then she got married. And they didn't, it was a funny reason, but I'm going to get stitching. But I can tell you this. Okay, so she's going off to Europe with the Girl Scouts trips, and she's going with her friends, and she's like all excited. And then it's like, will my grandma find out? No, she's gone. My mom's mom was more of a serious grandma. And my dad's mom was the grandma kind of one that I really, really miss. But my mom's mom was controlling, and she would do whatever she dang well wanted to do, and she did. And so anyway, so my mom's all excited about going on this trip, and it was extended for a long time to Europe. And then her mother went with her. I don't know why. My mom told me, and now I can't remember why her mother went with her. And she's like, my mother's going with me. And I think my mom got engaged. Like, I got to talk to my dad right before she left. They got engaged. And so when they were in Europe, my grandmother bought my mom a bunch of linen from Europe. Maybe my mom was excited about that. Maybe she wasn't. I don't ever remember using this stuff. So I grew up, and this is like, this is, I folded it in half, but this is what it looks like. This is probably what it looked like in Europe when my mom was there, just wanting to be back with her friends. I'll tell you a fun story about my mom in a minute, but I'm going to do some with it. I will probably tea dye it. And I have always thought, I can't, because it's my mother's European linen. It's been sitting in a drawer or in a box. I can do what I want, and I can make something with it. So I'm feeling totally free. And my mom, she would say, you go, girl, you have fun, and you do what you want, because life is short. This is something else. I got 4 of these. Might just be a pincushion, but she bought that like that, and that's pretty cool. I'm going to do something with it with all the freedom, because nobody's going to tell me not to do it. Or they can, and I'll tell them, it's mine. I can do what I want with it. So there we go. I'm feeling totally free. I have shown everything. Let me look at my notes. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, the scissors. Okay. So on my playlist, I have a lot of different playlists on my channel, and one of them is Wool Applique projects. I just posted one, and there was a woman that was sharing at a convention, and she did a very, very short, concise, good. And she was talking about having serrated edge scissors. I got these from my mom. And so these are serrated edges, and they're great. They sit by my sewing machine, but they are sharp, that you can get stitching all the way done to the end. She talks about that too on that video. These will be great for my Wool Applique, and I wanted to show them. I don't know what brand they are. I couldn't read it anyway because I don't have my glasses, and I want to get stitching. So those were the scissors. Boom, 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 boom. Did I get that? Did I get that? I did. I got that. We're good. Okay. So I'm going to get stitching. I'm going to have fun. Lisa Prims on Greenway has been doing tons of wool projects, and I'm like, I'm ready to go now, Lisa. I'm ready to get some fun stuff done and get these things going. And I'm ready. I'm just ready to do it. So I'm very excited. So we would love for you to join in with us on that. And also Melanie, Melly Ellie Stitches. She and I are doing that. Just Get It Done June. SAL. Doesn't mean you have to start the project within this month. Doesn't mean that can't be started. Anyway, no rules. It's just the idea for me of getting things finished. So getting things finished and getting some wool done. And if I can combine an unfinished thing with a wool thing, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to have fun, and I'm going to enjoy that. So now will be what I call the good stuff, the spiritual journaling part of my video. And thinking about, my sister came over and we spent the whole day going through stuff just to help plan. She has her strengths, I have my strengths. We're just combining them to do the care that we can for my father, as much helping him live independently as well as we can, just whatever support we can give him. But we had fun together. And so I've been thinking about my dad, and we were talking about just different things growing up. And anyway, and then also just the thought of just a conversation that I had on life. And we have things that we've done in our past that if we continue on that same trajectory, where will that get us? If they're negative things that we've had happen to us or we've been a part of, and we continue on that, what trajectory will we have and what life will we have? And if we have things in our past that we change, good or bad, and we can change that trajectory as well. My husband and I went to marriage counseling one time, and that's what the guy, anyway, it was a guy. So that's what the guy said was, look at the trajectory that you're on. Even if you veer off just a little, and he was talking more about if you do the things that God's wanting you to do, and you're on that path, what's your trajectory going to be? And if you just change things just a little bit, may not show up much now, but then you think about that trajectory and where that will get you in time. As it was pretty serious. And but I think since that time, I think about trajectory a lot in my life. So we were talking about that. Life happens, and what do you do with it, and where do you go? So with all those thoughts, and that's where we had that conversation. Spent much of my life. Was that one of the videos that I deleted? Anyway, we had a conversation about we're both the same age. So if it's a repeat, I'm sorry. We're both the same age. We've both done crazy in our life, and life is short. We've done enough crazy. We want to be doing not crazy now. And so it's just the life choices that we keep making now, so we don't redo crazy and spend the rest of our life being crazy, because been there, done that, ain't doing it again. So here we go. Okay, so it's going to be a whole chapter that I read. So sit back, do some stitching, and here we go. This is called The Security of Wisdom, which just got reinforced with the conversation that I just had. So here we go. And I was thinking about my dad and thinking about growing up, and this is what else we were talking about. We were talking about her son and the foundation that he has and with her. And I was thinking about the foundation that I had with my parents, and they grew up with parenting styles that they needed to change. And that's how, with the help of God, with the help of the decisions and the healing that they had in their life, and with the help of a biblical upbringing, that's the foundation that I can go back on. So that just kind of all just goes along with this. And I thought, what part should I read? The whole thing. So here we go. So this is Proverbs 4. It's called Security and Wisdom. Hear, my children, the instruction of a father, and give attention to know understanding. For I give you good doctrine. Do not forsake my law. When I was my father's son, tender and only one in the sight of my mother, he also taught me and said to me, let your heart retain my words. Keep my commands and live. Get wisdom. Get understanding. Do not forget nor turn away from the words of my mouth. Do not forsake her, and she will preserve you. Talking about wisdom. Love her, and she will keep you. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom. But in all you're getting, get understanding. Exalt her, and she will promote you. She will bring you honor when you embrace her. She will place on your head an ornament of grace. A crown of glory she will deliver to you. Hear, my son, and receive my sayings, and the years of your life will be many. I have taught you in the way of wisdom. I have led you in right paths. When you walk, your steps will not be hindered, and when you run, you will not stumble. Take firm hold of instruction. Do not let go. Keep her, for she is life. Do not enter the path of the wicked, and do not walk in the way of evil. Avoid it, and do not travel on it. Turn away from it, and pass on. For they do not sleep unless they have done evil, and their sleep is taken away unless they make someone fall. For they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. But the path of the just is like the shining sun that shines ever brighter onto the perfect way. The way of the wicked is like darkness. They do not know what makes them stumble. My son, give instruction to my words. Incline your ear to my sayings. Do not let them depart from your eyes. Keep them in the midst of your heart, for they are life to those who find them, and health to their flesh. Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it springs the issues of life. Put away from you a deceitful mouth, and put perverse lips far from you. Let your eyes look straight ahead, and your eyelids look right before you. Ponder the path of your feet, and let your ways be established. Do not turn to the left, or to the right, or to the left. Remove your foot from evil. When my kids were growing up and when I was doing the neighborhood Bible club, on the refrigerator, the kids memorized it. They got cookies when they did Bible memory. All the neighborhood kids and my kids. What was it? Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it springs the issues of life. So, oh, wow. Okay, so all these things are just combining right now. I didn't really think of that with this. I got all kinds of stuff in my Bible. So that verse was very important to me growing up, or as my kids were growing up and doing neighborhood Bible club. Didn't kind of think how all this wove together. I found this note. On my welcome mat when I got home one day a while ago. I'm going to read it. It means a lot to me. Hey, Bonnie, it's me, Charles. I stopped by to say hi. You used to teach me about God to my two brothers, Gabriel and Josh. Well, I still am doing God's work, Charles. And I got that and I thought, oh my gosh. It was Charlie back then. But it was a young man in my Sunday school class, and he had two younger brothers. And his parents were going through a divorce at the time. And he didn't live far away. So I would drive over, I would pick him and his brothers up, and they would come over. We would do the neighborhood Bible club, and they had fun with all the kids in the neighborhood. And we just did simple things. I would read aloud to them, and then they would all hang out on the floor. And I always had educational kind of toy, kind of drawing kind of stuff. So I would just get a big box out, and they would just sit, and they would do stuff while I just read to them and talked to them about Jesus. Gosh, that was a long time ago. And it was awesome. And then I loved to bake, and I loved to eat the baking. And so we would have cookies. And it was amazing. It was an amazing time in my life at that time. And so because there was more needs going on, and their mom needed some time, and so I would say, come get them when you're ready. And so Charles told me, he's Charles now, he's a young man. He told me later, because he and his fiance came over for dinner, but he said, at that time in my life, there was a lot going on. And at that time in my life, I didn't have godly instruction going on. So not only was I a Sunday school teacher, but he also hung out at my house. And then my husband would come home from work, and we'd order pizza, and we did a lot of pizza on the floor. You always had to sit down on the floor and eat pizza. And he would hang out for hours, and his little brothers. And he told me later, and my husband later, how important that was in his life at that time. And I did that for all the neighborhood kids. And many of them have gone different ways. And one of them has passed away. And yet Charles, he wants to be a minister now. And God just used us at that time. We weren't special. I just loved kids, and I loved people, and I loved the Lord, and I just brought it all together, and didn't even think about that really. But that's I asked God to help me be an instrument for Him in these videos. So that's a blessing to me today too. It took me from being very silly to serious, but so glad. So now I can put my life and all my worries, because I've talked about that recently, into God's hands, knowing that He orchestrates things in our life when we're open to Him. So I'm going to go have lunch, but I am going to get the pitchfork off my table and get the stuff out of my way so I can make a bigger mess and have fun, and I will come back and show you all the wonderful things that I did. Or I could have someone else show up at my door, and I could just do that and be happy as a camper too. So that's how I would hope it would be. And that's how I try to make it, as if you guys were just hanging out with me too, whether we're eating homemade cookies and I'm reading you a Bible story, or we're stitching, or we're looking at my garden, or we're bawling because we're talking about things that are hard in our life. That's it. That's life. Life is short, and no more crazy for me if I can avoid it. So God bless you guys. Pray that you would choose joy nevertheless. And I'm excited about today and what I may get done today, and I'm happy to show it to you. So all right, guys, God bless you. Thank you. Goodbye.